Hey guys, we got a couple weeks till youth weekend here. It's time to get everything sighted in and checked. I got my new build for this rifle season that I gotta get dialed in with the loads that I developed for it, and then I need to check my daughter's rifle and my muzzle loader, as all of those seasons are coming up really quickly here. Enjoy.
Okay, so here we have the muzzleloader target. First couple shots, I pulled the last one a little bit, but it's still right in there. For 100 yards, I'm pretty happy with that. It's gonna be good enough for this season.
It's looking pretty good. It's not perfect. I'm not cutting holes, but I think I had a couple of bad primers there. And not really light primer strikes. I mean, that one had enough recoil that it's actually kind of impressive primer strike. Not in a good way. I got these loaded full grain below the maximum suggested load, and I tested a bunch of different from maximum to minimum, and these were the ones that were shooting the most accurately. Now I did make some changes with these hand loads from the test loads, in the sense that I seated the bullet out almost as far as I could, as far as I dared, which is about 15 thousandths, 1500ths more than yeah, more than the ANSI suggestion, what you would get from factory ammo. And that's just to eliminate as much bullet jump from the chamber to the lands and grooves as possible. There's a lot more than that there. If it was a bolt gun, I could take a lot more out of it, but because it's a magazine fed semi-auto, there's only so much. They still got to fit in the magazine and feed, so there's not a whole lot of room in these magazines with these bullets. Just a standard AR-10 7.62x51 mag, pole mag 10 rounder with a -5 in there to make it legal for hunting in the state of Vermont. And but these rounds are out there in such a manner that they are very, very close to not fitting. They are very tight, but they still feed. still breaking this rifle in, so sometimes it doesn't like to chamber all the way, but that can cause a light primer strike if it's not all the way in battery, but that wasn't the case in this situation. In this situation, they're just not going off, so I think it's a couple of bad primers. But we have the technology, we can tear it apart and rebuild it. So that's a project for another day. Why don't we head down and check these targets out? But I think we got this one dialed in close enough for where I'm going to be hunting this year. We got a trip to New Hampshire lined up and hunting here in Vermont, so let's see if we can't knock some deer down and put some venison in the freezer. Number one was here. I had 2, 3, and 4, and 5 over here. And 1, 2, and I pulled this one a little bit. But I moved it over an inch. 1 MOA, actually. And then I pulled it down 2, which is exactly where we're at. And 1 pulled shot, but still would have killed a deer. Okay, so next up is a custom built 350 Legend. We have Faxon Firearms 16-inch barrel on here, adjustable gas block. There's a Smoke Composites carbon fiber handguard on here. Spikes Tactical Snowflake lower. This is my daughter's gun. She likes unicorns, so it was fitting. And we got the Sig Sawyer Buckmasters on there. Nice affordable scope. Gets the job done. Pretty good scope for a kid. Most everything else is pretty standard. Nothing too fancy on here. Trying to remember the name of this safety. It's nothing I'm too impressed with. It's something that I received for free. So, but she chose to put it on there, so it's on there. Right now we're in a nice safe space. Chamber's open. It's clear. Nothing in there. Magazines are over here. We're using the CMMG mags for the 350 Legend. They're what I've had the best luck with. They don't scratch up as easy as some of the other brands. I've tried 2 or 3 different brands. These were the ones that I've liked the most so far. Be nice if Magpul or somebody else came out with some decent ones, so I had some other options. Really pulled that to the left. Oh, I did. Woo! I pulled that bad to the left. think we get this one dialed in. I did forget to mention that this is a left-hand ejecting stag arms upper. I worked with stag arms. They really did me a solid, got me some good left-handed parts, as my daughter is left-eye dominant, so she shoots left-handed. Yeah, that trigger, there's only so much I can do with that trigger. That's probably going to get replaced before next season. That's pretty horrendous. I'm pretty spoiled. I use a lot of Elfman triggers, and I have them set pretty slow. They're nice and crisp and low, and that one is got a long take up, and it's pretty, I don't really want to say gritty, but it's a good probably 7 or 8 pound pull on there, and you got to work at it. You're not gonna pull that one by accident. You're gonna have to intentionally pull that trigger. So let's go check it out. Focus, thank you. These are the first 3, and I came over here, I pulled one there, I dropped it down, we were right in here, and that was the one I pulled when I said I pulled it to the left. So we're right in there. Okay, the final gun for today is going to be my Thompson Center Omega X7. It's 50 caliber. Had this gun a long time now, since I was in high school. So early 2000s I bought this. Yeah, 20 years ago. I've killed a lot of deer with it. I did special order it with the nice rosewood laminate stock and the stainless barrel. And I got an Alpine Kodiak on here. That is original to this gun. I bought that 20 years ago also. And it's just a solid optic. If you've never tried Alpine, give them a shot. My understanding was Alpine was started by a company, started by some former Nikon employees. At least that's what I was told when I bought it originally. They've never disappointed me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're better than all the rest, but I'd say they're probably better than average. They're fairly affordable. They're not extremely expensive, but they're just a good solid optic. So, well, this thing is currently unloaded. We're gonna put, I believe it's 90 grains of powder that I have. That says 100, but I know that's not accurate. I believe it's 90 grains of powder that I'm loading in here, and I used to run 100 grains. I've learned over the years that it tends to run better, just dialed back just a little bit, a little more consistent. I am running Blackhorn 209. It's the cleanest powder I've ever run. I've run IMR White Hots, Pirate X powder, Pirate X pellets, 777s. The IMR, the Blackhorn is the best stuff I've ever run. I've even run the Jim Shockey little weird shaped ones. Those, I did not like those. I could not get any consistency out of those. IMR, Pirate X, 777, they're all good, but none of them run as clean as this. Bullets, I run the Barnes Expander MZs. They're 250 grain muzzleloader flatbacks in sabots, 50 cal sabots. So they're 100% copper, and they are effective. My 2019 overview video at the very end. There's a doe that I shot in that video. I had shot, and you can see the Barnes muzzleloader bullet next to one of my skinning knives, and it expands and it works extremely well. I got no complaints over that. I used to run power belts. We had issues with power belts, especially when you get into whips, deflecting. I tried the Federal, I don't know if I remember exactly, they were like an AccuBond type bullet, but they had a plastic or rubber sleeve on them to try to seal to the barrel better. Those were the worst accuracy bullets I have ever had. They were all over the place. I did kill a deer with them one year, but I had more issues with that. I missed more deer with those than I ever should have. So they didn't last long. I think I ran those for about a year, and then I went back to the Barnes. The Barnes just, they're solid. I can't complain about them. My hand loads, actually everything we've shot today has been a Barnes bullet, all copper. My hand loads for my 308s are TSXs in 168 grain, and the 350 Legend is a Barnes factory load in all copper. Specifically the Barnes Vortex, and these are 170 grain TSX flatbacks. But if you don't hand load, spend the money. Yes, they're way more expensive than, you know, Hornady, American Whitetail, or anything of that equivalent, but you're getting a whole lot more bullet with this, and it is better. I've killed a lot of deer with Hornady bullets. There's nothing wrong with a Spire Point, but I much prefer an all copper Barnes bullet. It's just way more accurate, way more consistent, and if you can afford them, go for them. Okay, so we're actually going to work out of a speed loader here as we drop some grains of powder. So I'm going to pull the ramrod out, set that down. We're going to take our speed loader and we're going to create like a little funnel with our fingers to try to help all that powder drop in that barrel. Now that the powder's in there, and this speed loader goes all the way through, I can push that bullet down through and start it in there. So there we go, bullet started in. I didn't have to use the ramrod. I could have used this ball starter here. Ball starter. I keep this in my pocket, especially when it's dirty. It starts hard enough as it is, but when it's dirty, and muzzleloaders, you should be hunting with one shot dirty. It should not be clean. You get your best accuracy off from your second shot muzzle loading. I do run the Thompson Center little palm saver. It functions. It's not going to save your palm. it cuts through there, but you know what? It's better than just jamming my palm straight against it. And it's all the way down. Make sure it's seated nicely. And I modified this palm saver. I drilled a hole through it to put my paracord, and then I also put my deprimer on there. And that's just so it's always easy access. Normally, if I was hunting, it goes right back in there, locks in, and it's good to go. But we're at the range, it's not really necessary to be in the way. So we're gonna do that. Oh, you know what? Pull the sling off here. Sling only gets used when I'm generally need my hands free for a couple of minutes. I don't walk through the woods with the sling, with the gun slung. It's no use to you on your back. It is useful in your hands. Put our PPE on, our glasses and our earmuffs, and let's shoot this thing. See where we're at. Oh, that's pretty darn close. Maybe an inch high. Maybe an inch to the right. So, muzzle loader, you want to pull that primer out because I still got hot embers in there potentially. The other thing you do you run that ramrod down there, try to clear out any last embers. I have a very specific reason for doing that. You also keep the back open. This is the only firearm I've ever had a negligent discharge on. It happened at a range. I had shot it. I reloaded it, put powder in, a bullet in. I sat down at the bench. I put the primer in, and I closed the locking block here. Closed that. As soon as I snapped that in like that, this firearm went off. I was lucky because many people were watching and they all knew that I never touched that trigger. One. The other thing was my safe gun handling skills were put to the test that day because I had it aimed not only downrange but at the ground. So it shot into the ground. It wasn't a big deal, but it was a negligent discharge. And I running that ramrod down there is not a foolproof thing. I did that day and it didn't matter. It still touched off. The scariest part about that to me was that I had dropped powder in there, I had pushed a bullet in, and that entire time I have my body over the end of that bore pushing that in there. Luckily, I had that back end open, so it did not heat up and set it off while I was doing that. That could have killed me right there. Probably would have. I mean, you're talking about not only driving the ramrod through me, but a bullet too. That would have been a very bad situation. So, be vigilant. Allow it time to cool off if you can. Leave it wide open. It's an inline. I've never had that issue again. It's not the gun's fault. It was completely my fault because I didn't have it clear of any embers. I didn't know that, but in the end, it's still on me. Luckily, I had the good gun handling skills to keep it pointed downrange and at the ground. So let's reload it and see where it shoots again. This one, the bullet wants to come out fairly easily, so I'm not going to argue with it. But it starts down there a bit harder because now it's one shot dirty. It's not clean anymore. It's in there now. Trick, and I don't have it on this one just because never felt like I needed it on this firearm, but when you first load it and you know where you want it, take a knife. I got a knife right here, and you run this knife right up against it. You scratch a line into your, that ain't very pretty. It looks more like threads in the line, but it tells you, yep, we're there. So now you know it's all the way depressed. Try that again. Yeah. So it spun off a little, but it actually worked out for where I marked it. So now we got powder and a bullet in here. We're going to put it back downrange. As you can see, when I'm loading that, my body's over it because it takes some pressure. So yeah, it's a scary situation. Put a primer in here. There are other priming tools. I just like this one because it doesn't take up much space and it hangs around my neck the entire time I'm hunting. So, fingers are off the trigger. Closed. By the way, you cannot pull the hammer back on this to pull the trigger until that block is closed. So, that didn't matter. It still went off either way. It was blowing right in my face. Blew that smoke right back at us. Okay, there's one of the downfalls to this firearm. pulled that primer out, and this happens fairly regularly when I'm hunting too. And it dropped out and dropped right down in the mechanism. It's not a big deal. You can turn the gun over, flip it, dump the primer out. Or if it lands like it did there, I just bring the block up enough to feed it out. It is a downfall, but again, there's worse things out there. So again, for safety's sake, we're gonna run this bore. Pull that back out. And then we'll let that cool. By the way, those 2 speed loaders we just shot have been loaded like that for at least a year, if not longer. So, as long as you keep them dry and out of the moisture, you will be fine. So, this thing has little marks. You got 10, that 2 stands for 20. So the first line's 10 grains, 20 grains, 30 grains, and so on up here to 9 for 90 grains. It's pretty traditional powder measure. We got our Barnes sabot here. Just a beast of a bullet. And then just your typical sabot plastic. So let's see, get the whole funnel out. So I do have a funnel that I put on this. It just makes my life a little easier when I'm filling things. So we're gonna just fill this lightly. Oop, lost a little there. There we go. We're gonna lose a little here. Normally I have a little powder dispenser for faster, but we're just gonna lose a little here. We're about to burn it anyway, so it's not the end of the world. So slide that over. That pushes off the excess, and we have our own natural little funnel here. So this is kind of nice because you can just stuff it down in there, give it a couple taps, it's all empty. Drop that bullet in there, and we'll set this back on there. So I'm going to collapse this back down, drop that back in there. We're going to close this powder up. Wise man once said, keep your powder dry. It's very important. Okay. Get this bullet started down in here. The other thing you can do, if you got a starter like this, this rod is threaded, so I can spin that part off. I've done this when it gets real hard to load it. I wouldn't consider we're real hard to load it right now, but good point to show how to do this. Spins right on there, gives you a nice solid T-handle, and then whoop, look at that, we're right there at our marks. We're seated. It is important that it's seated at the same place every time. If it's not, you're going to get variance. Your accuracy is going to drop. It's not going to maintain its same point of impact or consistent point of impact. So put that back on. We'll point that back down safe direction. Grab another primer. Okay. Let's go check out the targets and pick them up, and I think that's what we're gonna call it for today.
Here we have the muzzleloader target. First couple shots, I pulled the last one a little bit, but it's still right in there. For 100 yards, I'm pretty happy with that.
You got 3 there. You notice how little smoke is actually blowing through the air. There's a little bit, but it's not enough to really obscure your view, which is really nice. In the past, when I'm hunting using, when I'm hunting with 777s or Pirate X, or even IMR White Hots, when you fire, a big cloud of smoke, you can't see through it. You might get a glimpse of where that deer runs off to, you might not. You don't get that picture of that deer's reaction as soon as the bullet hits. With the Blackhorn 209, I never lose sight of the deer. I shot a doe a few years back. I shot her through the heart. It's the first deer that I've shot and been able to watch the entire thing. That deer took off and fell down. There was no question the deer was dead. From the point it was hit to where it fell dead, I was able to observe the entire thing, and I was in the woods. It didn't go 50 yards through the woods. It was really something else, because I don't think I ever imagined that I would have that situation with a muzzleloader. Maybe a bow, my regular rifle, absolutely. But growing up with every time you shoot, you lose sight of everything in front of you. You never expect to be able to watch the entire thing. So, really love Blackhorn 209. They make an awesome product. Don't buy it so I can actually get my hands on it. That'd be great. But it is not easy to get your hands on. It sells out quickly. So, thanks for joining me today, guys. Hopefully we'll have some successful hunts this year. I've been out bow hunting a little bit so far. I've seen some deer. I took you guys out on Monday and we busted one 10 minutes before daylight. Didn't see any other deer. don't know what I'm going to do with that footage. I'll try to figure out how to use it somehow. It's not that exciting, but I'm getting this all figured out, trying to make sure that everything works. I also didn't have my scope cam on that day. I forgot the bushing for it. The scope cam today, but I left all but one memory card at home. So using the cell phone for the close-up here. I got the GoPro down at the end. Hopefully that's functioning properly because, well, it's a GoPro. They do what they want. But I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Should be exciting. I would love to be able to capture my daughter being successful during youth weekend, but there's no guarantees there. I will try to film whatever I can. I'm working on getting some better equipment and being better about filming everything. And I'm still figuring out the editing side of things, so bear with me. It'll get better. I'm figuring it out. I got a bunch of old content that I've been working on. Cleaning up. A lot of it is gonna be like what just dropped, 2019, kind of all-inclusive, you know, outdoor adventures of the year. Just because I don't have enough to do individual episodes of some of these years. I just didn't have enough recording, or just don't have the content anymore. I do have some things. I have an episode that you'll see of an opening day where I actually sat and watched a deer for like 2.5, 3 hours, and I took a bit of film of them, took a bunch of pictures, so at some point that'll be coming out. It's not a monster, but it's kind of cool. It wasn't a legal deer. It was a buck. It wasn't a legal deer. So we'll get that edited up at some point. That'll be coming out. But trying to get through all the old footage while at the same time get you guys some fresh content. And we'll get it dialed up. We'll get it figured out. Mind you, I still work a day job, so I'm putting a lot of time into this. Trying to make time for the family, make time for you guys, make time for work, and still enjoy hunting. Might not be, maybe I may try to do some ice fishing depending on the weather this winter. My days off work out so that I can pretty much do a lot of that by myself. I like taking the kids, but filming reasons, it may be easier to do it by myself. Kids love going ice fishing. However, I have to take them in waves because, well, there's only so much room in the shanty. So we got a bit of hunting coming up. I want to film some ice fishing stuff for you guys. Definitely want to get into some fishing in the spring and the summer. I still got the kayaks, so we'll be doing that. I am working towards getting a bigger boat. I don't know if that's coming next year or in future years. We'll see. But I don't have any plans right now to do any more duck hunting this year. Goose hunting isn't really a huge thing right now. The September season's already over. We're in October. Today's middle of October. So now goose season's open, but it's one Canadian goose per day per hunter. It's not worth your guys' time for me to go set everything up to shoot one goose. If I can get them to play along and land, it would be nice to be doing that, but I am keeping my eyes open for some more options during that September season. I think I got some ideas, so maybe next September we can get some goose hunts in. I don't know if I'll have time to do any duck hunts this year. It'd be nice to, but we'll see. If I do, we'll do something with it. We'll get that recorded as best possible. I'll get my Tacticam hooked on my shotgun. We'll have a little fun. Otherwise, you know, if there's other outdoor adventures you'd like to see me go do, let me know. We can see about if we can do that. Always potentially can do hikes. We can do scouting. Look for sign. I can help point out sign, tell you what you're looking for, that kind of stuff. We can do some e-scouting. I'll pick a random spot on the map because I'm not giving you guys mine. I don't need to blow up my own spots. But we can pick some random spots on the map that I've never been to, and we can e-scout them and then go and see how the e-scouting turns out. That's always an option. It's not a bad thing to do during the winter. So, thanks for joining me here today. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Any engagement is helpful. We don't have any merch at this time. That may change in the future, but right now I'm focusing on content. So please like and subscribe and leave a comment, leave a positive comment. Maybe you leave any comment you want, but engagement is engagement, so I'm not going to get too upset with you. See you next time.